Guys, you're welcome to Hope Alive Therapy. Yeah, it is so good to be here, trust me. So my day has been so stressful. Like seriously, I didn't really enjoy this moment. But I was like, I remember my Tuesday commitment to my wonderful guys that are always watching me on YouTube. So I was like, I have to do that. And in case you're just joining us for the first time, you know what? Just click on the subscribe button below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we would say we love you. Thank you so much. So don't forget that I said that July is for relationship, psychology of relationships, and we've said a lot about relationship. In fact, I've enjoyed all the feedbacks that I've been getting. They've been so wonderful. I want to say thank you so much, guys. You guys are doing well. Today, what are we talking about? We are talking about something that seems to be one of the most controversial things in the society as regards relationship. In fact, it's one of the things that took me so long to come into an understanding about. It really took me a lot. So, and there a lot of things. Some of us are privileged to be under this kind of talks where you are able to have an understanding about them before you actually get to be too affected by it. And some people are not that privileged. They get to understand things like this by experience and exposure. So today we are going to be talking about toxic relationships. Yeah, that's what we are talking about. So we are talking about the psychology of toxic relationship on people's mental health. And it's kind of a very deep topic and a huge one. Probably we might not finish it today, but hopefully on Saturday during our question and answer session, I'm going to finish it. I promise you guys I'm going to finish it. So I would like you guys to look forward to it. So probably many of us don't really we don't really understand this that we are in a system whereby a lot of things has been shifted, has been wrong mentally, and that's why we've been getting a lot of negative reactions and a lot of negative attitudes towards certain things. And one of those things that are, how do I put that, negatively mentally built in people in the society is understanding about relationships and things around us. And as God is helping us to really work on them, we would love you guys to really ponder on them. And my own happiness did not just come from the fact that you are watching and you are subscribing. No, my happiness comes from the fact that you are learning and you are able to come into a lot of actualization as regards all these things. So when we talk about toxic relationship, what are we saying in a nutshell? Now, relationship is built on values, goals, and integrity. Now, for you to meet someone and start relating with someone, you should know that it is something that attracted you to that person. Probably you have some things in common, and probably you guys are working towards the same goals and things like that. Now, there was a time we did a particular study in conflict management, and we are able that there are majorly three things I see in my society that causes conflict between people. Number one, competition. Number two, power. And number three, money. And number four, fame. So those are the things that brings about conflict where other things that might actually bring conflict is under these things that I just said. So people naturally don't just go into conflict. Something must have stimulated something that brought about they having issues with each other. For example, maybe somebody is not in good terms with the other person, and probably they were friends before. Something must have stipulated the fact that it brought distance between them. It's not like maybe they just decide like, okay, we are not talking again. We have decided not to talk to each other again. No, something must have stimulated something. So when we now talk about toxic relationship, we are talking about a relationship or a friendship between two people where they don't encourage each other at all. They don't support each other at all. And it's more or less like the two of them are just there. And there is nothing that challenge them to help each other to become better. Now, in that kind of relationship, probably many people have been stuck in that kind of relationship and have had situations and incidents where some relationship, when I see that they don't really benefit me, and the only thing it does to me is that it drains me, I just walk away. I won't even how do I put it? I won't stress myself too much. You will notice personally from yourself that I've walked away. You will know I've walked away. You will know I'm not where you felt or who you felt I was to you before. Why? Because most times I'm a kind of person that I do a lot of art reflections a lot. And when I say that something is not giving me peace of mind, probably somehow, and I've tried to really work it out and it doesn't seem to be working. One of the things I do is I walk away. I don't stay in such relationship because any relationship that drains you will ruin you mentally. And when it ruins you mentally, you start with malice. From malice, you see that you, even if you are a Christian and you are close to God and you are being drained with toxic relationship, you will not have a stable relationship with God because times you should be spending with God, time you should be using to be late to God, those times you will spend it and be pondering on the things you should not ponder on. You will spend it and be thinking about somebody that's hurt you somewhere, somehow, and it shouldn't be. And if that actually takes the peace of God away from your heart, if that actually take your own mental health away from you, imagine what kind of attitude you'll be displaying to people and things like that. So that's just by the way. But when we talk about toxic relationships, that's the things that toxic relationship does to people's mental health. It drains you. It makes you behave otherwise and makes you do so many things otherwise like that. So when we are not talking about toxic relationship, based on my explanation, what are the signs that you will see that you use another? Probably you've been seeing it and you don't even know it's a toxic relationship, or probably you've had different relationship and you've had so many issues and you don't really, you're having issues in your heart and you don't even know how to settle this. So how do you do it? Number one thing that you see is lack of support. Toxic relationship does not support each other. They don't. Now, I'm not talking about support based on probably you are doing a negative thing and you're expecting somebody to support you. Please, that's not it. I'm talking about when you are doing something good and you know you are doing something good and you are not getting support from your friends. Please, I think you need to recheck again if you need to redefine the friendship you have with them. Number two is when you have bad communication skills, like you don't value yourself, you don't communicate too well. I think you need to check that thing. Communication goes beyond just chatting with someone on phone and the likes like that. It goes beyond that. Your communication should come from the level of, I don't know, intimacy, and it's just that you guys are not on the same page, probably are not on the same level. I think you really really need to check things from there. Now, number three is jealousy. When you see a sign of probably jealousy between the two of you, and you just feel like everything you do is almost like that person wants to replicate the other thing, and that person cannot even this majorly happens everywhere. When you talk about, there's no, even the richest person in the world has the most toxic relationship in the world. So don't try to defend yourself. Don't use a defend mechanism to make it seem like probably it seems like okay, this thing is restricted. No, it's one of the things that majorly everybody expects. We are not always perfect for each other. There will be people that they don't fit into you, there will be people that fit into you, there's the people that they don't belong to you, not because of pride or anything. There are people that you just have to learn to treat everyone based on the kind of definition of friendship or relationship that you have with each other. I've seen people that we've had contract of short time friendship, and immediately when I sense that that short time is off, you don't need to tell me to shut the door. Personally, myself, I will shut the door. And it's not because I hate you. I don't hate you. I love you. In fact, I am your greatest fan. I pray for you always. But when I've gotten to that stage when I know that my time is up, what are you getting there? If you are living in the landlord's house and you cannot pay house rent, and that landlord know you don't have house rent, will the landlord not pack your house out? He pack it out. That means that your value at that particular time for that person is gone. Then move on. So another thing is controlling. A sign of toxic relationship is that the person will be controlling you, will be controlling you, will be controlling you, because you won't even have a decision of your own. You just feel like the person is domineering you. Now, if you have friends like that, it's time you guys sit down and negotiate things and talk things out and be like, we need to talk. Probably something is wrong. If it's something that you guys can negotiate and work around it and become better, wow, that's cool. That's okay. But if it's not something that you guys can talk about it, I think you guys need to take the next ride in your front. Yeah. So another thing is they become resentful. Now, when you are resenting someone, you are bitter, you're like, I will never talk to this person in my life. I've seen situations where I've been like that. But later, if I know like, what's the essence of not talking to the person? You don't need it. Not talking to the person will not change this thing. You just need to redefine your relationship with them. And you being resentful is not going to solve. If you are resentful, you are not helping them and you are not helping yourself. It will only drain you emotionally, and it will give you mental imbalance. And when things are draining you emotionally, you will lack your peace. When you lack your peace, you will lack your self-control. When you lack your self-control, you lack your patience. So you have to be careful how you allow a lot of little things that shouldn't control you, that shouldn't, how do I put it, that shouldn't confuse you. So your ability to realize that, you learn to just delete those kind of things, just like, regardless of, learn your lessons and move on. If you don't learn your lessons, if you don't accept where you've made mistake, you cannot move on. Just accept that you've made a mistake somewhere, learn your lesson and move on. Life is like that. So number six of that is that they will be dishonest to you. They will not be faithful. Instead of, that's where you see people, friends, that when they get to your back, they ought to really say something real about you. They're now saying the other side about you, and they just come to your front and pretend as if all is well. See, don't fall for that kind of thing. Now, one of the things I've learned about toxic relationship is that you as a person that you find yourself in toxic relationship, or probably you are the toxic person, you will determine the kind of relationship you attract. If you remain toxic, you will attract toxic people. And if you remain the kind of person that at the same time you see that you're attracting toxic people, you will be the one that will teach them how to treat you. And if you don't start placing yourself in a kind of value and standard and integrity where this is how I want you to treat me, you will still be treated less. That is as simple as that. You'll be treated less. So quickly, let me talk about signs. There are so many signs. Probably I'm not going to be able to share everything here, but I'm going to promise you that on Saturday, by God's grace, I'm going to share everything that I have to share finally on toxic relationship. Now, when we are talking about types of toxic relationship, we have different types of toxic relationship. Probably I'm going to mention five, and I'm going to talk about five. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the remaining one, if time permits us. So the first one is the depreciator. They are the type that constantly belittles you. Now, when you see that somebody is, I'm not talking about occasionally. Now, there are times that things will happen occasionally. One of the things that make us prove that something is right is when it happens consistently and constantly. So, when somebody belittles you constantly, you should know it's a toxic relationship, because that shows that the person is always looking for a way to make you down and make his or herself look better than you or something like that. Now, in that kind of relationship, my dear, flee. That's how you do it. You flee. The second one is bad temper toxic relationship. There are some of your friends that tend to have bad temper. I used to be a kind of person that, how do I put it now? I get angry at things a lot, and I felt the best way to attract or attend to things like that is just to get angry and scatter everywhere. It will change anything. You scatter everywhere from now. It will not change their mindset. You see, one thing about bad temper people, or how do I put it, or toxic people, is that some things does not change your mind. Once your mind is fixed about a particular person, that this is who that person is, it takes the grace of God to calm down and change your mind towards it. But you really have to learn not to be that kind of person. So they deal with bad temper issues. They have bad temper a lot. You see them, every little thing they get angry, and you just have to keep begging them till eternity. And even if you beg them, they'll still tell you that I begged you, but on one condition, on this condition, though, you should know they are toxic people, because you should not be on any condition. The most important thing is you are able to sit down, talk like two adults, and iron issues out the way it should. Now, they are guilt inducer. Now, instead of them feeling guilty about a particular thing they do to you, they will make you feel guilty for a particular thing. You should know they are toxic relationship. Now, the moment they are making you feel guilty every time, I'm not saying that there are things that you will not be guilty for, probably because you made mistakes. There are times you make mistakes, and when you make them, acknowledge them and apologize. You know what the problem we have in this society? We feel apology is too big to do. That's what we feel. Like, you feel like, apology is going to take a lot from me, and it's nothing. It's nothing. But the most important thing is when you are doing it, you do it genuinely, like you meant what you say, even without saying it. If you are apologetic, it will be so obvious in your attitude and things like that. So that's just by the way. So they make you feel guilty. Every time like this, it's always you that is always feeling guilty. Oh. It's you that used to go and meet them and say, all hail the king. Ah, my dear, you are in a toxic friendship and a toxic relationship that you need to work on. So number four of it is that they encourage you to feel less. They just encourage you to feel less. They just make you feel less of yourself every time. In that kind of situation, you need to check yourself. You really need to check it. And number five is they overreact to everything. They are overreactors. You know, things that naturally both of you that sat down and just talk about, they just overreact about it and make it seem like you never had any memories together. And that kind of, I've seen situations like that, one or two like that, and it can be so painful. But the truth about it is that the earlier you start realizing some things, the earlier you start accepting some things, the earlier you see yourself as a change to some things, the more you start embracing growth in yourself. And the funniest thing about growth is that when you start growing, you know it yourself. Even people around you will know you are growing, because there are so many things growth will take from you, and you begin to see things in a different perspective or perception. Now, the effect of all these things on your mental health is that it takes away your peace, it takes away your patience, it takes away the ability to become yourself and to become a better version of yourself. So on Saturday, I'm going to come back and tell you guys more about everything as regard toxic relationship. The little things I've said, I want you to sit back, relax, look at the relationship and friendship in your life, redefine them, and see how much you want to put value on yourself to attract more intentional relationship. Thank you guys for watching Open Life Therapy. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and give us thumbs up. And in case you have anything to tell us, don't forget to send it to our Gmail. We'll be right here with you to give you answers on Saturdays. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.